Welcome to the show. As always, y'all know the drill. The latest cases in COVID-19. Let's get started here. As of today, New Oasis County, 39,094 plus 57. 2 new deaths. That makes it 746. 2.77 million in the state of Texas. 43 plus 4395. 47,860 plus 85. In the United States, 30 million cases plus 56,802. The deaths, 505K plus 892. 124 million total cases plus 70.6 recovered, and the 2.74 deaths. Million deaths. Now, the vaccines. The state of Texas. The percentage is rising up. We're now at 11.14% that are fully vaccinated, and that brings up the total of 3.2 million. At least one dose has 6.4 million and 22% of the population. Looks like the vaccine's working here. But what about California? 1.22 million for Los Angeles County, 22,904. $3.65 million. And what about the vaccines for California? Here's a graph. At least 5.3 million people have been fully vaccinated, and 10.5 million have had at least one dose of the vaccine on the other vaccine, but no one knows. But what really needs to happen here is that once everyone gets the vaccine, we should be able to get back to normal by the end of the year. Not so fast. Well, we could. Sure, we could. But that's not the point here. The point is, while everyone's trying to get the vaccine, we need to make sure that we know what we're doing to be safe. That includes following these tips. What you need to do is make sure that you wear your mask at all times. And again, it has to fit the nose properly. The metal things on your nose for the mask, it has to be pinched together. Not down, and again, the mask cannot be down here, nor down the chin. It has to be at the nose. If you're in school and your teacher instructs you to take off the mask, you can take off the mask. But if your teacher says no, then you cannot take off the mask. In grocery stores or anywhere else, you need to wear that mask. The only time you're able to take off that mask is if you're sitting in a restaurant, eating or drinking. Next, the big one. Social distancing. 6 feet apart. The CDC's new recommendation for all schools saying to stay at least 3 feet apart. If your school does that, perfect. If not, you need to stay at least 6 feet apart. If your school does not do that, you need to stay 6 feet apart. Wash your hands every 20 to 30 seconds. Warm water and antibacterial soap. That helps kill the germs. And if you have a medical condition, like asthma or something, you need to let them know beforehand. If they make you wear a mask, you wear a mask. And for the love of Pete, do not listen to those anti-maskers who believe that wearing a mask cannot... the numbers are not real. The numbers are fake and all that stuff. Don't go to those anti-mask protests. If you go to those, trust me, you will be arrested. And if you don't believe me, I've been reporting on articles about all of these people who were arrested for assault and battery. Don't believe me? Look it up. I know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're probably in the wrong place. And I'm trying my best to follow those rules as best as I can. Because if you don't want to follow those rules, again, that is your choice. But if you're not going to follow those rules, there's consequences. And if they ask you to take off your mask, and if you refuse to take off that, if you refuse to wear that mask, you will be asked to leave. No excuses. And if your children's under 2 years old, they cannot wear a mask. And I've been seeing little kids wearing the mask, not following the CDC's guidelines. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Jeez Louise, I mean, what has this world been coming to? People are not... People are not listening. Listening to the warning signs. And if you don't listen to the warning signs, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. So, we can't have that happen. Later, a special tribute to a man that I've met 10 years ago. He was one of the legendary best chief meteorological weather person I've ever met 10 years ago. His name is Bill Vesey, and I'm going to tell you a story about the time I met Mr. Bill Vesey. But first, when we come back, a lot of serious news. This time from a Gloria Hicks Elementary School principal who was arrested for driving while intoxicated. We'll bring you the very latest. That's next. Also, coming up, the latest in the accident at the Naval Training Station. More on that. And Uriarte looks at the crisis on the border for a first-hand look. All that's next. In Corpus Christi today, Gloria Hicks, an elementary school principal, was arrested and charged for DWI. The police records indicate that Elisa Garcia was 39, was arrested by CCPD on March 27th after she crashed into her parked car and failed a sobriety test. She was arrested at 10:48 p.m. at 2017 Tobin Drive near Holly and Airline. Police were called after her vehicle hit several parked cars and then attempted to leave the area. And police also said Garcia stopped her car in the middle of the street. She said she was standing in a nearby driveway and strongly smelled of alcohol. After hearing about this, she was currently on administrative leave from the school. But this is more information, and we're gonna and like all stories, like all stories I've done on the show, I'll keep you updated as soon as we get word. And there was video footage of that from the crash, and she failed a sobriety test. But the police report also says she was driving in the wrong direction. I contacted Elisa Garcia, who was standing by and driving and smelled strongly of intoxicated on her breath and person, had ghastly bloodshot eyes. Spoke of slurred speech. She made contact with witness following this, made contact. So I'm going to tell you this right now. If you fail that sobriety test, you will get your driver's license suspended and you'll be arrested for driving while intoxication. There's no loopholes. If you pass your sobriety test, you're good to go. But if you fail that sobriety test, you will be going to jail. And the law requires, if you are drunk driving, you need to stop. Underage drinking is very illegal, but she was over the age of 18. But in this case here, she was driving while intoxicated. With alcohol, that's drunk driving right there. What I think she needs to happen is her day in court, she needs to be like I saw this episode of Family Guy where Peter and Brian were both drinking and they were sent to some alcohol rehab group for 30 days, and then it really helps them. I think that's what needs to happen. We need to have a program put out for all people who are drunk drivers to be put in that program. And it's mandatory, not optional. It should be mandatory, not optional. If it was optional, then all criminals have the option of either going to that program or staying in jail. But this was the principle. And if you were the school principal drinking and driving, obviously you will be. It's going to cost your job. You should not be drinking in front of the students. Let alone bring alcohol in school grounds, since it is a violation of state law. But in this case here, she wasn't on school property. She was off school property. So what's the difference? Well, if you're in the state of Texas, you cannot possess alcohol on school grounds, let alone tobacco. So if you are in possession of alcohol products like beer, whiskey, and all that stuff, obviously you will be arrested. If you are a student, you'd face juvenile. You'd face time in a detention center for that. That's why those health classes have to teach you all about alcohol and stuff. And I'm here to teach you guys about alcohol also. I mean, I can do this for the next half hour and it wouldn't make a difference. But let me tell you the long and short of it. Alcohol is people who can afford to lose a few brain cells. It's no joke. And if you get hungover, stop drinking. And if you drink under the age, it's illegal. You could go to jail for underage drinking. And there's ways to stop drinking. Drink some soda. That's what I call my alcohol. You can also not drink. Drink water. If you get hungover, you need to get over that hungover, like wear sunglasses. And if you're drunk and you can't drive, you need to call a cab immediately. Also, if you show signs of puking, if you are puking in a toilet, that means your body is sending you a message that alcohol is very dangerous. It's poison. You might be saying, well, if it's poison, why do other people drink it? Because there are things inside of people that they need to kill. You may think I'm joking about this, but that's a whole nother show about alcohol. Alright, next, latest on the accident at an Able station. We'll give you the very latest when we return. There was a plane crash this afternoon to Jim Wells County, and we don't have the very latest yet, but But the crash kind of happened from natural causes. But there was... But this is from Orange Grove, so let me read you part of this article. An investigation is underway that caused a Navy plane to crash this afternoon in County Road 308 off the Highway 359. 2 occupants instructing the students safely ejected from the aircraft and reported 2 minor injuries. They were transported to the local medical treatment facility for evaluation. An 8 local emergency service responded to the scene and extinguished a small brush fire. Navy personnel on the scene and cooperated with local authorities. The incident is still under investigation. But this is still a developing story, but there are pictures of the crash. So again, I'll bring you the very latest as this story hits. But now moving on to more great news. The legendary, hola amigos, the legendary Bill Vesey retires from KAAA TV3 after all of his years. He finally retires, and 10 years ago, I met Bill Vesey. There was actually a friend of my mother's. Well, I'm not going to get into that, but he was one of the greatest chief meteorological weather people I've ever met. Very legendary. He started out from another station, Channel 6, but people were afraid of that. But after he retired, Alan Holt is now the new chief meteorologist. He passed the torch. So here's Joe Gazin with Bill Vesey.
In a world where most things seem real,
began in the Bronx in New York City, where Bill was born in 1953. You can do the math. His family moved a short time after that and took up residence in Kingsville, Texas. That's where Bill spent his childhood. Early on, he had a different career in mind.
I always tell the story when I was in 6th grade. I was sitting next to Gilbert Roman, and I always wanted to be a civil engineer, wanted to build bridges. And so Gilbert says, "What do you want to be?" I said, "I'm going to be a civil engineer. I'm going to build bridges." I said, "What are you going to do, Gilbert?" He said, "I'm going to be a disc jockey. I'm going to spin records." And I thought, yeah, that's pretty fun. Ended up being a disc jockey. One thing led to another, led to the TV business.
Bill would go on to earn a journalism degree at Texas A&I, which of course is now Texas A&M Kingsville. After getting his first job in radio, he moved over to television in 1978 for his first tour at KAAA as a news reporter and assignment editor. But after a few years, he moved to San Antonio to take a radio job.
Yep. Worked. One of my goals was always to work at KTSA, and was up there in the early 80s. Very
Radio
fun.
station.
Yeah, the radio station,
Right.
you bet. When they still did news.
Eventually, he made his way back to Corpus Christi and became sports director at another TV station. But he wound up
Christie's
suffering a
News.
fate that many of
And
us
they
have
can't say
shared.
that.
He got fired. He wasn't defeated, though. Bill started working
And he also
at the
got
Corpus
fired.
Christi Greyhound Racetrack as an announcer, before getting another chance at TV in 1992. Oh yeah, Here Comes Breezy, I remember that.
Here Comes Breezy. And
Bill's back
I remember
at-
writing a letter to
Bill's
you.
back at
I wrote a
KAAA.
letter to you and to Mr. McKinnon and to Rob Dean, the news director at the time. I'm looking for something part-time. And I remember the news director saying, well, come on in. We need somebody to do weather during Good Morning America on Monday and Tuesday morning. You interested? I've never done weather. So, oh, you've been on TV, you can do it. So I went in for a screen test. I stunk. I was bad. With a capital B. Got a call the next day, you're hired.
And for several years, he would deliver the morning weather forecast on 3 News First Edition.
Hi, everybody. Bill Vesey here.
Much of that time alongside our morning anchor, Regina Garcia.
Beyond being, that great partner that you wanted at 3 in the morning on the morning show, he was just a great friend and always the best storyteller and could relate to every person that came across the newsroom and to every story. And it's such a connection to our community.
First Edition is where he would greet viewers every morning with his signature phrase, Buenos dias, amigos. Of course, that greeting would have to change when he made the move to the evening team.
Hey, Bill. They say there, Joe. Hi, everybody. Back in the mothership. Hola, amigos. All right, our front.
For more than 10 years, Bill has served as our chief meteorologist and helped the Coastal Bend get through some difficult times.
So the extreme winter weather headed this way Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Again, we'll reiterate, we're looking at some of the coldest temperatures we've seen in 40 years.
Whether it be a tornado or straight line winds or bad or hurricanes, any of that stuff, Bill is the master at being able to interpret our weather and to then pass that interpretation, that knowledge on to the audience in a way that is just astounding.
That's former TV3 news director Richard Longoria. He says Bill always had a knack for connecting with people in person and on the air.
Now, we had the cheerleaders on earlier, and here they are sharing their Christmas. Let's open the trunk and see what kind of donation we have.
He immediately can reach out to individuals in their homes and make them feel that he is talking directly to them and no one else.
Well, my most memorable is during Hurricane Harvey. And we were making the point that as late as Sunday, we could still be looking at Category 2 winds. And now we're going to 4.
August 25th of 2017, a week of hurricane tracking, all leading up to landfall later that night. Chief meteorologist Bill Vesey had been following Harvey's track over the Yucatan Peninsula and watching the storm reform in the Gulf of Mexico.
The problem is Harvey is now expected to re-strengthen.
When it mattered most, the Coastal Bend looked to Vesey for reassurance.
I would have to check back in with Bill Vesey and see exactly how strong the winds are right now.
And we were on the desk.
So I'm not gonna continue going in this, but
And I remember saying,
I wish Bill.
I have news.
I wish
We're
Bill
all gonna
Vesey
be
the
okay.
best of retirement, and I wish that he would come on the show and I don't know. I have lost words. We come back the story of the time I met Bill Vesey. Stay right there. That's all this edition of Game Break Wednesday. But before we go, a story. 10 years ago, I met this. I wanted to take a tour of Channel 3 so bad. So a friend of mine, who's also a friend of my mother's, decided. I asked my friend of mine if we can go to Channel 3 to take a tour of Channel 3 sometime. He said, sure, we can do that. One day he knew a friend, toured around, and I met Bill Vesey. I wanted to meet. My dream was to meet Katya, but I met Bill Vesey. I wanted to do the greens, but I was too shy. So this still makes me a little bit shy talking to you guys and to millions of people out there on YouTube. That's why the news inspired me to go in front of the camera and practice that one day I could become a news anchor or something like that. If my guitar playing never fails, if it ever fails. So Bill, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope another job will come out for you. As always, this is Give Me a Break Wednesday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Friday. For all of us here at YouTube, hola amigos, have a great night.